after they dared to cross this organization. The Jesuits, throughout Christendom, Protestantism was menaced by formidable foes. I'm going to read you quite a few quotes tonight. The first triumphs of the Reformation past, Rome summoned new forces hoping to accomplish its destruction. At this time, the order of the Jesuits was created the most cruel, unscrupulous, and powerful of all the champions of popery. Cut off from earthly ties and human interests, dead to the claims of natural affection, reason and conscience wholly silenced, they knew no rule, no tie, but that of their order, and no duty but to extend its power. The gospel of Christ had enabled its adherents to meet danger and endure suffering, undismayed by cold, hunger, toil, and poverty, to uphold the banner of truth in the faith of the rack, the dungeon, the stake. To combat these forces, Jesuitism inspired its followers with a fanaticism that enabled them to endure like dangers and to oppose to the power of truth all the weapons of deception. There was no crime too great for them to commit, no deception too base for them to practice, no disguise too difficult for them to assume. Vowed to perpetual poverty and humility, it was their studied aim to secure wealth and power to be devoted to the overthrow of Protestantism and to re-establishment of the papal supremacy. When appearing as members of their order, they wore the garb of sanctity, visiting prisons, hospitals, ministering to the sick and the poor, professing to have renounced the world and bearing the sacred name of Jesus, who went about doing good. But under this blameless exterior, the most criminal and deadly purposes were often concealed. It was a fundamental principle of the order that the end justifies the means. By this code, lying, theft, perjury, assassination were not only pardonable but commendable when they served the interests of the church. Under various disguises, the Jesuits worked their way into offices of state, climbing up to be counselors of kings and shaping the policies of nations. This comes from that classic Great Controversy.
All right. Narration. Testing. All right. Mythology is more real than real. It lives in the imagination, unmolested by replicated designs. It can't be known, it can only be felt, and you gotta live it. The path of individuation, self within or self without. When you go without, there's a void in here. You are not in the temple. You're on pilgrimage to find out what the real is. And the real informs you. That's the mythology living through you. And all it takes is your attention. You may not know the language, but you'll know it in action indeed. Indeed. We organize, optimize, compartmentalize, break things apart in order to understand them and then make them function better through an ideal. So when we call things out, groups of people, institutions, beliefs, philosophies, we are dropping the gauntlet. We're waging war in belief. If you hold the conviction of that without, then your temple, your mind, your heart is captured and snared in the hymns of whatever that externalized conviction is. Iconic circuit. It's in our blood, it's in our families, our communities, our cultures, the governments. We wage war against that, and we don't know what it is. We think it's each other wearing the personas, so we attack each other, devaluing ourselves, dehumanizing. Because we're mythologizing and mythologizing. That's the path of individuation through consensus narration. You must witness the demise of absolution. And it is dark betrayal when you do it to yourself. Out there is just the forms to help us achieve that, understand it. So narrations happen, they're always going to. Causes are not the reasons. The reason is you. It's your individual nature to be known so that you can break yourself from the fucking programming of all this stuff. Can you hold any value in that which is divided from the bullshit? Especially when you find the bullshit is within you. How can you value yourself enough to burn through that? To know of the gift of potential. Hey, baby. So mythology's relation, circuit. The alchemy of yourself, bringing that into existence so that the temple is filled and void is out there, where the creative can ground through us. So fuck the narratives and retribution and drop the loop. It's best to do it on your own rather than letting the world, Pachamama, do it for you. You know, honor your mother, your father, show existence that you are a creator. Will divinely. If you're going to take responsibility for anything in this world, that would be the thing to do.